When you think about our genetic background, when you think about we have different parents, grandparents, our lineage is different, how we process information is different, that yet we all experience some of the same joys and sorrows. We experience graduation, graduating from high school, college, getting our first job, having our first boyfriend, girlfriend, or relationships, fears of are we going to make friends at summer camp or at school, losing a loved one, buying our first car, getting married. So many different experiences that we can have in this world, so many different biochemical makeups that we have, that no two human being is alike, not even twins. Is it fair to put people in groups, to label them according to something that we've heard from others, stories that we've heard? Is it fair to be afraid of someone who is of a different color, race, or religion just because they walk on the same side of the street that we do? Is it fair to assume that every person of a certain color is going to yell or they're angry all the time? Is it fair to believe that people of a certain color are pacifists? That if you grew up in a certain neighborhood, this is what you're going to be or do, and that you're angry and that you're upset and that you're poor and you'll never amount to anything? Is it fair to put those labels on people, on a human race? This is Timika Chambers, the founder or creator of Create a Generational Love Cycle. And for the past few months, I've been talking about weeds in our garden, these persistent negative emotional patterns that will often rob us of our spiritual truths, that we are more than the flesh that you see. We are more than our social economic status. We are more than our ancestors as far as the lineage and what they went through. Just because they went through something doesn't mean that we are like them or that we have the same mindset. It happens to be part of our history. We look at these weeds, these unwanted things that will pop up in our minds, in our hearts, in our inner garden, the heart being the soil of our inner garden. These thoughts that come from stories that were passed along. And that's when I was actually on a call with someone here in Tillamook, she confirmed what I thought. Many people's fears are based on what they heard growing up, not what they lived. I remember attending an event with my husband, and someone shared a story basically about how he had met someone of a particular race, and he had been hearing stories about the race. But when he met the person outside of his home, literally in the United States, he realized that not every person is like what he heard his own family members saying. That we have not met every single person here on earth, that everyone has a choice and chooses to be a certain way. Some of us, we will feed into those stereotypes because that gives us a sense of identity and belonging. Some of us refuse to be labeled according to how others have been. When you have met one person, you have not met the entire race or culture or religion. When we stereotype, we are putting limitations on people. We're saying that this is who you are without even you getting to know me. Are we using discernment to discern where somebody is in their emotional journey of life? Or are we using stereotype and say, well, no matter what you this is what you've been through, so this is what you will always be? How are we addressing our mindset, our heart set regarding stereotypes? Are we continually nourishing those thoughts? Fear, anger, resentment, intimidation? Or are we allowing people to be as they are? Do we have this curiosity that although you are a certain color, or you come from a certain background or a certain race or religion, I'm interested in who you are, not in what your ancestors did. History is history. But how are you living your life? And so, how are we taking that in ourselves, in our homes? Because actions come from thoughts, and thoughts come from our beliefs and what have been talked about consistently, often over the years. There's so much fear that is out there in the world, there's so much intimidation that instead of having a certain level of trust, we assume that somebody is going to be a certain way. Have I ran into that myself? Yes. But my aim is to see you as you are. And that's what I had to learn as a child. Because it was when I found out at a young age that some people would not like me based on my skin color. And I thought that is absurd that someone would judge me based on the color of my skin. Now, I believe before I even say anything about it, I do believe that we know what we're getting into when we come here. We know how we're going to look, the skin color, our human costume, and we come here believing and knowing that regardless of what color or what environment I'm in, I can transcend my experiences because I have the spirit within me that created all things. I am part of this greater spirit that created all things. And that somehow we lose our way. We forget who we are. We lose traction because of many things. People projecting their pain on us, seeing others experiencing projected pain, a lot of things, violence, and a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, and people not bringing out the best in their gifts and hiding their gifts and not really being themselves. You see that and you kind of lose perspective. You can easily lose perspective. But it comes a time where we have to start not letting our experiences or others' experiences cloud our vision. That we can reset our mind, reset our hearts through our hearts, saying that I am going to be open to the people that I meet. That when stereotypes start coming, oh, look at this person, they're going to be loud, they're going to be angry, they're going to be this, they're going to have this superior complex, these are the type of people that will cheat on their wives or cheat on their husbands, and that kid is just like his father. Instead of saying those things, let me be open and get to know you. Let me spend time listening to what you have to say, to embracing the whole divine communication experience. Because if you truly believe that God made us all, there is a spirit, something that made us all, we have something similar that binds us together, then you're going to be more apt to listen to someone, to understand that we all experience pain on some level and how it can deter us from our truth. We get so bogged down and our vision become cloudy and we don't see the person for who they are. We don't see the true nature of them. And when we don't see that, we can begin to not see the true nature in ourselves, because then we start judging others. We start labeling them. We start defining them. We start confining them putting them in our own little prison. I got you squared away. I know who you are, and I'm going to leave you alone. It's so easy we can do that. And through that, we can start losing respect for other people and respect for ourselves. That this thought process of grouping and labeling people, because we want to try to maybe decrease intimidation. I have to put you in some type of label. I have to protect myself instead of being open, instead of seeing what gifts, what talents, what abilities do you have? How are you reflecting the truth? What are you here to do? Being curious of that. And how are we sowing that seed in our children's heart? Are we continuing these stories that we're hearing about a certain group, a race, a culture, a religion? The truth and love, which we are to reflect, here to reflect, it's not about division, but it's about unity. How can I find the solid ground that we stand on, the fertile ground that will continue to feed the truths that I am made of, that we are all made of? How do we talk to ourselves? How do we talk to our children? Do we encourage our children to be open? Do we encourage them to not do name calling? To call people that have a certain color of hair, all of them to be certain names, that they're all dumb or stupid? That if they didn't pass a certain grade, that they're considered dumb, stupid? If they were in a relationship that maybe was unhealthy, are they seen as somebody that you continually can try to use them in inappropriate ways? Because if we are, we have to assess what pain, what wounds we have not dealt with. What things did we see? What things did we misunderstand? Because we have to be able to look at ourselves and to assess our garden and see what stereotypical weeds do I have within me that I need to remove in order to have a clearer vision, in order to have peace. Because when you start stereotyping people and building all this fear and intimidation, that can rob your sense of peace. It can promote entitlement when we stereotype that they don't deserve this, that I do, because they're of a certain culture or race. They're not smart enough. They're not good enough. They don't belong here. See, once we start acting on these weeds, we nourish them. They continue to grow and they attract more weeds similar to what they are themselves. And so we take ourselves further and further away from the truth. And therefore, we have a lot of the disharmony that we are experiencing in the world that continues to feed on the individual diseases because of the persistent negative emotions we continue to draw in within ourselves. Because when we think negative about people, we're meditating on that. When we visualize that someone's going to hurt us or do wrong, we are visualizing, using our power, creative power of visualization, to visualize harm being done. It's coming from us. So the whole thing about what you do to one, you're doing to yourself, literally you are, because you're thinking of it with your thought, creative thought, law of attraction, and you're seeing it in your mind. You're seeing it in life. And remember, where our energy goes, that's what we start producing in the world. So when I say that individual consciousness impacts collective consciousness, that's what we're talking about. We are going to continue to see more stereotypical behavior because we are continually feeding it through the stories, the words that we use, through the visions, through the thoughts, through our actions. If we treat people, we don't know them, but we're trying to get away from them because they may be, they're this type of people. All they want is this. All they are is this. And so we're robbing ourselves of our own inner peace. Now, discernment is seeing things as they are, and everyone is on a spiritual, emotional journey, processing information, things that they've been through. And discernment is necessary. But when discernment starts limiting people, condensing them, putting them in a box that you no longer want to deal with them, and you continue to say things that may not be true, then we start getting into stereotypes. And so discernment is based on individual versus stereotypes is something that we group together collectively. This is who you are. So the question is, how are you removing the weed of stereotypes? How are you removing it? Or are you nourishing it in your own inner garden? Because through our thoughts, our actions, our words, our visualizations, that will tell us through our emotions and feelings. How do you feel when you see people of a certain race or color? Do you get nervous? Do you get fearful? Do you get angry? And you never met that person in your life, but you have this anger because you're holding on to some other wound or something else that has probably nothing to do with that person. We have to reclaim our peace, and we can begin to reclaim it by assessing our inner garden for stereotypes. Where are they? And day by day, we can begin to let go by opening ourselves to these individual representations of the truth. This is Timika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. It's about dismantling these thoughts that have created and sustained the generational cycle of pain. On Fridays, I talk about healing from the inside out. And it's through my mother's principles that I've shared in a recently published book, The Inner Garden, 53 life principles rooted in a mother's wisdom for cultivating harmony, health, and inner peace. So looking forward to bringing that more out in bringing that out more in different formats. I have paperback that's on the way and an audiobook. That is an interesting task if you've ever done an audiobook or just even recording something for long bits of time. But it is the purpose, the conviction of why you are here that you will continue to do what you're doing. Our conviction, our purpose is not to divide, but to bring people together, unity. And we do this by removing the weed of stereotypes. I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourself. Make this lifetime great because within you is the power to do so.